My name is Caroline, and this is the story of how my own family taught me, from a very young age, that you wasn't worth the investment. Meanwhile, my younger sister, Brooke, was treated like a princess who deserved nothing but the best. I grew up believing I was just the spare daughter, the one who was supposed to settle for the leftover bitches of love, attention, and care from my parents. Our house was in a quiet suburb of Savannah, Georgia. It was a typical two-story American home, with a white porch, a neatly trimmed lawn, and the constant smell of fresh coffee in the morning mixed with my mom's sweet lavender perfume. My mom, Suzanne, was a marketing manager at a large company in the area. My dad, Richard, was a lawyer at a well-known firm downtown. They lived a financially comfortable life, enough to care for two daughters, but apparently, there was only enough love for one, Brooke. The difference in how we were treated became clear very early on and only grew more painful over the years. I remember my 8th birthday like it was yesterday. It was a beautiful spring Saturday, clear skies, perfect temperature. I dreamed of having a party like the one Brooke had the year before, Barbie decorations, a two-tier cake, at least 15 friends from school, all at the church's community hall. For weeks, I had imagined wearing a pink dress, being the center of attention, opening gifts, surrounded by laughter and hugs. That morning, I ran downstairs, heart racing, expecting to see balloons, streamers, maybe the smell of cake baking. But all I saw was my mom at the stove, scrambling eggs, as if it were just any other Saturday. Nothing. No decorations. No preparations. Mo, what about my party? I asked, my voice already shaking, that lump forming in my throat. She didn't even look at me, focused on the frying pan. Caroline, I forgot to tell you, there want to be a party this year. We is saving up for Brooke's preschool graduation. She'll need a special dress and a cute little party. You understand, right? It felt like someone had crushed my chest. A preschool graduation. A symbolic little ceremony suddenly mattered more than my 8th birthday. But, you promised, I whispered, barely audible. Caroline, promises change. You here now. You here, big girl. You need to understand that Brooke is still little. She needs more from us right now. And that was the moment something shattered inside me. It wasn't just the disappointment of not having a party, it was the crushing realization that, to my own parents, I was secondary. I turned around and bolted upstairs to the bedroom I shared with Brooke and threw myself on the bed, burying my face in the pillow, trying to muffle the sobs. A few hours later, Brooke bounced into the room holding a brand new doll our Mo had bought her just because. She was 5, with curly blonde hair that my Mo loved to tie up in colorful bows, and that radiant smile that made every adult melt. Brooke was, undeniably, a sweet, lively child, charismatic, outgoing, full of energy. I was the opposite, quieter, straight brown hair, skinny for my age, always hiding behind my books. Why are you crying, Carol? She asked, tilting her head, genuinely confused. Because it is my birthday. And nobody cares, I mumbled into the pillow. I care. Wanna play with my new doll? She offered, beaming. And maybe that was the most heartbreaking part of all. Brooke wasn't to blame for being the favorite. She simply received, without question, all the love and attention I craved so desperately. She didn't even realize anything was wrong. Time went by, and what I once hoped was temporary became the norm. When Brooke turned 8, the party was at the local Club Princess theme, over 30 guests, professional entertainers, a Diário da Justiça, a full catering service, and an imported dress that cost a small fortune. And guess who helped her get ready? Me. I brushed her hair, fixed her tiara, helped pass out cupcakes and party favors. Always smiling. Always being the understanding big sister. The one who just accepted. In school, I was the best in my class. I worked hard, studied, always. Had the top grades. I came home full of hope, waiting to hear something like, "We're so proud of you, Carol." But you know what I got? Yeah, Caroline. Great. We expected that from you. Now, can you help your sister with her math homework? She is struggling. But, if Brooke managed to get a B instead of a C, it was like she'd won an Olympic medal. Brooke, you've been working so hard, sweetie. Let us go to the mall and get those sneakers you wanted. You totally deserve it. And that was it. Year after year, until the day came when, in front of the whole family, it was her who needed my help. But that is a different part of the story. When I was 13, I needed new clothes because I had grown a lot that year. My mom took me to a department store at the mall and picked out the cheapest pieces, constantly commenting on how fast I was growing and how expensive it was to maintain a teenager. 2 weeks later, Brooke, you didn't even need new clothes, got an entire wardrobe from a high-end kids boutique. She has school events. She always needs to look her best, my mom explained when I asked about the difference. Yeah, I don't have school events, I asked, genuinely confused. You himori. Simple, Caroline. You don't care about superficial things like that. It's one of your qualities. Once again, my quieter personality was used as an excuse for why I deserve less. I was simple, so I didn't need pretty clothes. I was mature, so I didn't need parties. I was responsible, so I should understand why all the family's resources were directed toward Brooke. But the moment that marked me the most happened when I was 15. Brooke was 12. It was the eve of my 16th birthday. A milestone I saw as incredibly important. 16 meant social adulthood, independence, the beginning of real life. I had been planning everything for months. I wanted a belated sweet 15 party, a special dress, and for the first time in my life, to feel like the protagonist of my own celebration. For weeks, I researched venues, decorations, catering services. I even made presentations with budget-friendly options. I knew my parents could afford it. They had taken Brooke to Disney just a few months earlier, a trip you wasn't invited to because it needed to focus on studying for college entrance exams. Mom, Dad, can we talk about my 16th birthday? I asked one Sunday night after dinner. My parents exchanged a look I knew all too well, that expression of someone about to deliver bad news. Caroline, sweetheart, you know things are a bit tight financially this year, my dad began, avoiding my eyes. But you took Brooke to Disney 3 months ago. That was different. It was a once-in-a-lifetime deal, a promotional package we couldn't pass up, my mom catching quickly. In my birthday, it doesn't even have to be anything fancy. I can just invite my closest friends, we can do it at home. We only see what we can arrange, my dad replied vaguely. A week before my birthday, I found out the truth in the most painful way. I came home early from school because they finished a test quickly and found my mom on the phone in the home office, talking about the preparations for Brooke's surprise party. I froze the whole way, listening to every word. Yes, it'll be on Saturday, the 15th. She has no idea. It's going to be a total surprise to celebrate her winning the DC competition. We hired that catering service she loved. From a murder party. The dress arrived yesterday. It's gorgeous. It cost a fortune, but she deserves it. The 15th, the exact day of my 16th birthday. It felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. They hadn't forgotten my birthday. They had deliberately chosen my birthday to throw Brooke a surprise party. A party I had dreamed of having, with the catering service I had suggested. On the very weekend that was supposed to be my special moment, I went upstairs in silence, feeling a mix of rage, sadness, and a burning pain inside me. In that moment, I realized with absolute clarity that I would never be a priority in my own family. Brooke didn't just get more love, attention, and resources. She had literally stolen my special day, and my parents had allowed it. More than that, they had orchestrated it. On Saturday, my birthday, I woke up early and went downstairs for breakfast. My mom was in the kitchen, clearly anxious with the preparations for the surprise party. Good morning, Mom. Happy birthday to me, right? I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She stopped what she was doing and looked at me with an embarrassed expression. Caroline, happy birthday, sweetie. 16. You've grown so much. In my party, well, something came up. Brooke won the school S-Daisy competition, and we thought about having a little celebration this afternoon. It just happened to fall on your birthday, but you understand, right? It's a big achievement for her. On my 16th birthday, you can celebrate together. It'll be fun, a party for both of you. A party for Brooke. On my birthday, Mimo sighed, clearly irritated by my insistence. Caroline, don't be selfish. Your sister worked really hard for this achievement. Can't you just be happy for her success? And there it was again, me being selfish for wanting to be recognized on my own birthday. Me being insensitive for not wanting my special day to be about someone else. Me being the problematic one for questioning why I always got less. Sure, I'll be thrilled for Brooke's success on my 16th birthday, I replied, and there was so much sarcasm in my voice that it even startled me. What is with the Tony, Caroline? You've become such a difficult teenager. Brooke never gives me this kind of trouble. And there it was, the inevitable comparison. Brooke, the perfect daughter who never questioned anything, never complained, never asked for more because she already had everything. That afternoon, while the guests arrived for Brooke's party, I locked myself in the bathroom and cried silently. I could hear the laughter, the music, people singing happy birthday to my sister. On my 16th birthday, I was alone, crying in the bathroom, while everyone else celebrated someone else. When I finally came out, the party was full swing. Brooke was glowing in a turquoise blue dress that sparkled under the lights, smiling as she greeted family and friends. She looked like a little celebrity, posing for pictures, cutting the cake, opening her gifts. My Aunt Martha was the only person who remembered it was also my birthday. Caroline, happy birthday, sweetheart. 16 years old. Look how grown up and beautiful you are. A wave of gratitude hit me so hard I nearly burst into tears right there. Thank you, Aunt Martha. It means the world to me that you remembered. What do you mean remembered? It's your birthday. Where is your cake? Your gifts? The awkwardness was instant. Mimo quickly stepped in, trying to smooth things over. Martha, Caroline preferred something quieter this year. You know how she is more low-key. Low-key, Suzer, she is turning 16. That's a big deal. We celebrating each all together. It's just more practical this way, my dad chimed in, visibly uncomfortable. And Martha looked at me with an expression that was a mix of understanding and outrage. She understood exactly what was happening. And for the first time in my life, someone in the family was openly questioning the way I was treated. Caroline, come with me, she said, taking my hand. We went into the kitchen, away from the crowd. Sweetheart, how long has this been going on? She asked, her voice filled with concern. Always, Aunt Martha. It's always been like this. You never said anything. To who? Whenever I speak up, they say I'm selfish, problematic, that I need to be more understanding. Aunt Martha shook her head, clearly upset. This isn't right, Caroline. You deserve to be celebrated, especially on your 16th birthday. They were the most validating words I had ever heard in my entire life. For the first time, someone was confirming that my feelings were real, that the situation was unfair, that I had every right to feel hurt. Aunt Martha, I just wanted to feel important too. Just once. You are important, Caroline. If your parents can't see that, then they are missing out on knowing an extraordinary young woman. That night, after all the guests had left, Brooke had gone to bed exhausted but happy from her achievement party. I made a decision that would change my life forever. Sitting on the bed we shared, watching her sleep peacefully surrounded by her pile of gifts, I made a promise to myself. I was going to become so extraordinary, so undeniably successful, that not even my parents could ignore me. I would build A life so impressive that they would have to recognize me, they would have to admit they underestimated the wrong daughter. And when that day came, when they finally realized my worth, I would make sure the entire family knew exactly how they treated me all those years. That was the beginning of my journey, revenge through success. I didn't know how I was going to do it yet, but I knew one thing for sure. I would. It would be epic. From that disastrous 16th birthday on, something fundamental changed. Inside me, the pain of being rejected by my own family transformed into a burning determination that coursed through my veins like pure fuel. I had spent years begging for scraps of loving recognition. Now, I was going to achieve so much that it would be impossible for anyone to ignore me. My transformation started at school. I had always been a good student, but I decided that good wasn't enough. I needed to be exceptional. I started studying like someone possessed, arriving at school an hour early to use the library and staying until the gates closed in the evening. My routine became almost military, waking up at 5:30 am, reviewing subjects over breakfast, paying absolute attention in every class, completing every assignment with obsessive perfection, and studying until the early hours of the morning. At home, this dedication went completely unnoticed. While I buried myself in physics, chemistry, and math textbooks, my parents were always busy with book-s activities, dance lessons, tennis practice, French classes, and rehearsals for school plays. Our dinner table became a stage where Brooke would proudly share her days filled with extracurriculars, while I ate in silence, mentally reviewing formulas and concepts. How was school today, Caroline? My mom would occasionally ask, more out of politeness than any real interest. I got a perfect score on my organic chemistry test, and the answer, trying to hide the hopeful tone in my voice. That's great, honey. Brooke, tell Daddy about your dance performance. And just like that, my academic achievements were reduced to polite acknowledgements, while any tiny success book had become the center of the family's attention. But I persisted. By junior year, my GPA was a 49, the highest in the entire school. I participated in every academic competition I could find: math, physics, chemistry, biology, astronomy. I won bronze, silver, and eventually gold in the National Math Olympiad, despite attending a private school where most participants were from public schools. That day, I came home with my heart pounding with pride and expectation. Finally, I had something truly extraordinary to show. A national gold medal, surely that was impossible to ignore. Mo, Dad, I yelled as I walked through the door. I won gold in the Math Olympiad. National gold. I held up the medal, shiny, heavy, with my name engraved on it. My mom glanced over, smiling in that distracted way of hers. That's nice, Caroline. Congratulations. Now come help me with Brooke's things. She has a commercial audition tomorrow and everything needs to be perfect. It felt like a punch straight to my stomach. Mo, it's a gold medal. National. Only 15 students in the entire won this. Yes, sweetie. That's wonderful. You've always been smart anyway. Now, Comet, I need your opinion on which outfit Brooke should wear. There it was again, my extraordinary achievement being dismissed as, you've always been smart anyway, while a casting audition that Brooke didn't even get was receiving all the attention and energy in the house. That night, alone in my room, clutching my gold medal, I made another promise to myself. If academic success wasn't enough to impress my parents, then I would go further, much further. I started researching universities abroad: Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Oxford, Cambridge, the best in the world. If I could get a full high scholarship to one of those schools, it would be impossible for anyone to deny my worth. I dedicated the next few months to preparing for the soro antitetânico, TOEFL, in every international exam necessary. At the same time, I started working. At 17, I got a part-time job as a math tutor at a test prep center. I earned about $3 an hour, working 20 hours a week. It wasn't much, but it was my money. For the first time in my life, I had financial independence even if it was just a little. My parents didn't even notice I was working. They left the house saying I had school activities and returned at 3 the afternoon. For weeks, I saved every penny in a secret savings account, dreaming of the day I could use that money for something meaningful. The tutoring job transformed me in more ways than one. For the first time, I was recognized and valued for what I could do. The students respected me, the other teachers praised my skills, and the program director always commented on how dedicated and competent I was. "Caroline, you have a natural talent for teaching," said Mr. Henry, the director, after one of my classes. "Have you ever thought about becoming a professor?" It was the first time in my life that an adult encouraged me to dream big, as someone who saw potential in me beyond just being smart. "Actually, I'm applying for a scholarship to study abroad," I confessed. "Really? Which universities?" "Met. Harvard, Stanford." "I know it's hard, but hard. Caroline, with your grades and your talent, you're going to get it. I'm sure of it. If you need recommendation letters, you can absolutely count on me." For the first time in years, I felt like someone truly believed in me. Not just believed but was absolutely certain of my potential. It was such a powerful feeling that it gave me the energy to work even harder. During my senior year of high school, my routine became even more intense. School from 7 a.m. till 12 p.m. Prep courses from 2 p.m. till 6 p.m. E studying for international exams from 7 p.m. till 11 p.m. On Saturdays, I worked all day tutoring math and physics. Sundays were entirely dedicated to preparing college applications, essays, portfolios, documents. At home, I was practically invisible. I left early, came back late, ate quickly, and went straight to my room to study. Occasionally, my parents would comment that I was a little too focused on school, always with the tone of someone who thinks that kind of ambition is odd, like academic goals were some strange personality quirk. Brooke, on the other hand, continued to be the center of attention. At 15, she had become even more beautiful with the effortless kind of beauty that magic heads turn everywhere. She booked a few local modeling gigs, landed some small holiday amateur plays, and always had some kind of teenage drama that dominated every family conversation. Brooke is thinking about enrolling in a professional acting course. My mom said one night at dinner, "It's expensive, but she is so talented. It's worth the investment." "How much does it cost?" I asked, genuinely curious. R$3,000 per month, for 2 years. I did the math in my head. R$72,000. More money than I had ever seen in my life, being invested in Brooke as a dream of maybe becoming an actress with zero guarantees of success. "That's a lot of money," I commented. "But it's for her future, Caroline. You know how important it is to invest in people's potential." The irony hit me like a slap in the face. They were willing to spend R$72,000 on Brooke's potential but had never even considered spending R$5,000 on a prep course to help me get into the best universities in the world. And what if I needed money for a prep course for foreign universities? I asked, testing the waters. My parents exchanged the familiar look, the look that meant they were about to give me an answer I didn't want to hear. "Caroline, you're already smart enough. You don't need those expensive courses. Besides, why study abroad? We have excellent universities in Brazil." "Because I want the best for my career." "But the rest is so far from family." Brooke has always wanted to stay close to US. And there it was again. Brooke was the daughter who wanted to stay close, the one who valued family. I was the difficult daughter, the one whose ambitions were exaggerated, the one who wanted to leave. "Maybe I want to be far because we never felt valued when I'm close," I replied, and even I was surprised by how honest that came out. The silence that followed was suffocating. My dad cleared his throat and quickly changed the subject. But he didn't give up. If they were going to support me financially, I would find other ways. I took on more tutoring jobs, started freelancing as a translator. I had discovered I had a knack for languages, and saved every cent I earned in my secret escape to a better life fund. In December of my senior year, the miracle I had worked desperately for finally happened. I received an email that would change my life forever. Dear Carolina Silva, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology with our full scholarship. Met. Full scholarship. I did it. I screamed so loud that my mom came running into my room, thinking I'd hurt myself. What happened? Why are you screaming? Mo. I got it. Met. Full scholarship. I showed her the mail on my computer screen, my hands trembling with emotion. She read it silently, her expression shifting slowly. Met. That's in the United States? It is the best technology university in the world, Mo. In the covering everything: tuition, housing, meals, books, everything. But it is so far. In that moment, I expected her to hug me, to scream with excitement, to call every relative and share the incredible news. Instead, her first reaction was to lament how far it was. Mom, it is met. Do you understand how huge this is? Of course I do, sweetheart. It is very good. But, are you sure you want to go? You will be so far away from family. Yeah, absolutely sure. My dad came home about an hour later, and his reaction was pretty much the same. A surface-level acknowledgement of my achievement, immediately followed by worries about distance and homesickness. Congratulations, Caroline. This is a big achievement, he said, but his voice sounded more worried than proud. Thank you, Dad. Perfeito. Aqui está sua tradução completa para o inglês, mantendo toda a força emocional, clareza e fluidez narrativa. Have you really thought this through? It is such a big decision. Moving to another country. I've thought about it for 2 years. This is exactly what I want. But, what if you don't adapt? What if you get homesick? What if? The questions kept coming for 15 straight minutes. They were questions of support. They were subtle attempts to make me reconsider, to convince me to stay. Brooke walked halfway through the conversation, and when she heard the news, she had the most genuinely positive reaction. Wow, Carol, met. That's incredible. You're moving to the United States. Finally, someone in the family showed genuine excitement about my achievement. Yeah, Bea. I'm going to study engineering. That's amazing. You've always been the smartest in the family. I knew you did something like this someday. For a brief moment, I felt this wave of real affection for my sister. Despite the years of being treated so differently, Brooke had never been cruel to me. She simply existed inside the bubble of privilege our parents built around her, without ever really questioning it. In the months that followed as I prepared to move, the family dynamics became even stranger. My parents oscillated between shallow pride, which they displayed for outsiders, and quiet resistance, which they showed at home. In front of friends and extended family, they bragged, "Our Carolina got into mid on a full scholarship. We're so proud." But at home, it was a never-ending litany of doubts. Are you sure about this, Carolina? Isn't it going to be too hard? What if you can't keep up? What if you feel lonely? It was as if they simply couldn't accept that I had achieved something extraordinary entirely on my own. It was easier for them to focus on hypothetical problems than to truly celebrate my success. My high school graduation was another revealing moment. I was valedictorian, received every academic award possible. I was the only student in the entire school accepted to an international university. When my name was called to receive the award for top student, I heard loud cheers coming from the audience, but they weren't from my parents. They were from Aunt Martha, Mr. He from the prep center, and some of my co-workers who came to support me. My parents clapped politely, the same way you might applaud a co-worker you barely know. After the ceremony, families gathered to take Photos I celebrate. I was posing with my friends when I overheard my mother speaking to a group of other moms. Yes, Caroline is going to study abroad. Wehe, a little worried. She has always been very independent, sometimes even rebellious. Not like a Brooke as very family-oriented. Even on the day of my graduation, during the biggest academic triumph of my life, I was still being described as the difficult daughter contrasted with Brooke, the daughter who cared about family. The day I left for the United States finally arrived in August. I had sold everything I could, worked all summer to save for my initial expenses, and was finally ready to start my new life. At the airport, the scene was exactly what you'd expect given our family dynamic. My mom was crying quietly, but her tears felt more like self-pity than motherly pride. My daughter is going so far away. My dad gave me practical advice about personal safety and money management as if I were an irresponsible child who needed basic instructions to survive. Brooke, on the other hand, was genuinely emotional. "Yeah, me gonna miss you so much, Caro. You the bravest sister in the world. Thank you. Beer. Take care of mom and dad for me. They be fine. E so will you the one who is going to conquer the world." For a moment, looking into my little sister's eyes, I saw genuine admiration. She truly believed I was doing something extraordinary even if our parents didn't seem to see it that way. During the flight to Boston, as Brazil disappeared beneath the clouds, I reflected deeply on the past few years. I had done this entirely on my own. Every perfect grade, every medal, every acceptance letter, every win, all of each was the result of my own effort, my relentless determination, my refusal to accept that I was worth less than my sister. But more importantly, I was only just getting started. It was just the first step in a much bigger plan. I was going to become so extraordinary, so undeniably successful, that when I came back to Brazil, it would be impossible for anyone, especially my family, to ignore me or diminish me ever again. Arriving in Boston, I moved into the student dorms filled with a mix of nervousness and excitement. I was surrounded by the brightest minds from all over the world, each with their own story of struggle and determination. The first few months were challenging. The academic level was brutal, the competition intense, and I constantly felt the need to prove that I deserved to be there. But I was ready for it. Years of working in silence had taught me discipline, resilience, and, most importantly, how to turn the pain of rejection into fuel for achievement. I kept occasional contact with my family through emails and the occasional video call. The conversations always followed the same pattern. My parents asked if I was okay, if I was homesick, if I wanted to reconsider and call me back home. Brooke always asked about my classes, about Boston, about my new friends. During my second year at Schmidt, I started working on research projects with renowned professors. My field of specialization was becoming clear: artificial intelligence applied to medicine. It was a revolutionary field, with the potential to save millions of lives. At 20, still an undergrad, I published my first scientific paper in a prestigious international journal. When I shared the news with my family, their response was predictably familiar: "That's great, honey, congratulations." Immediately followed by the way, Brooke is dating this really nice guy. His family is very traditional, from São Paulo. Always, my achievements were quickly eclipsed by updates about Brooke's life. But I pushed forward. Throughout my 4 years at Schmidt, I accumulated awards, publications, internships at prestigious tech companies, and offers for graduate programs at the world's top universities. I chose to pursue my master's in PhD at Stanford, diving even deeper into medical AI. During my doctorate, I developed a revolutionary algorithm for early cancer detection that captured the attention of the international scientific community. By the age of 26, I was receiving job offers from the biggest tech companies in the world: Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook. I chose a promising startup focused on medical technology, where I could lead my own research team. Parece. When people's perception of me started to change, articles about my work started appearing in specialized journals, then in mainstream newspapers. Young Brazilian develops technology that could revolutionize cancer diagnosis. And finally, at 28, something happened that would change everything. I received an invitation to give a TED Talk about my research in medical. The TED Talk invitation arrived on a rainy Tuesday in November, through an email I had. They read 3 times before I actually believed it was real. Dear Dr. Silva, we would be honored to have you share your groundbreaking work in medical at our upcoming TED conference. Dr. Silva. I had become Dr. Silva with a Stanford PhD, publications in the world as top scientific journals. And now, an invitation to speak on the most respected stage for innovators and visionaries worldwide. In that moment, alone in my apartment in Palo Alto, I felt like every humiliation, every timid had been ignored, every tear I shed in the silence of my teenage bedroom, it all finally made sense. Every no I ever got from my family had pushed me toward an even bigger yes from the world. My TED Talk would be about compassionate eye, how technology can democratize medical diagnostics. I had developed an algorithm capable of detecting early signs of cancer with 94% accuracy using nothing but smartphone images. A technology that could save millions of lives in developing countries, where access to sophisticated medical equipment was scarce. In the months leading up to the talk, I began receiving attention from the Brazilian media. Journalists started reaching out, wanting to tell the story of the Brazilian scientist conquering Silicon Valley. Every interview followed the same pattern: childhood, family, inspirations, challenges. Did your family always support your scientific career? It was a question that came up in every single interview. It was a delicate question. I could have used the platform to publicly expose how I was neglected, how my parents invested in my sister's dreams but not mine, how I grew up feeling like I wasn't worthy of their love. But something told me to wait. My revenge would be more elegant, more powerful. My family always knew I was different. I answered diplomatically. They understood that I needed to forge my own path. It wasn't technically a lie. They did know I was different, they just never valued the difference. During that time, something curious happened. Suddenly, my mom was calling every week, suddenly very interested in the details of my professional life. Caroline, I saw an article about you in Folha. We are so proud of you. Thank you. Mo, could you send me the link so I can share it with my friends? They were so impressed when I told them my daughter was in the papers. It was ironic. For years, they had minimized my academic achievements. Now that those achievements were generating public recognition, suddenly, I had become a source of family pride. Of course, Mo, ILL send it. E tell me, are you going to be on transmissão vertical? I am recording a TED Talk that will be watched by millions of people around the world. That's incredible. I need to tell everyone my daughter on worldwide television. The shifty attitude was staggering. I had left Brazil as the problematic daughter who wanted to distance herself from the family. Now, I was coming back as the trophy, something to show off at your friends. Brooke, on the other hand, remained as genuine as ever. Carol, I always knew you were special. Remember when we were kids you said you wanted to change the world? You actually doing it. Thank you. Bia, that really means a lot. Coming from you. I show your interviews to everyone. My friends are blown away that my sister is famous. Through our conversations, I realized Brooke had become an interesting young woman. At 24, she had left her acting dreams behind and was now working as a graphic designer. She had real talent, good clients, and seemed genuinely happy with her choices. So, how are things back home? I asked during one of our calls. You know how it is. Mom and Dad are a little lost without you, Eddie. I think they've finally realized they underestimated you all those years. It was the first time anyone in the family had said that out loud. You really think so? Carol, be honest with me. They treated you badly when we were kids, didn't they? The question caught me completely off guard. Brooke had never openly questioned our family dynamics before. Why are you asking that? Because I grew up, I can see things more clearly now. I remember a lot of situations that didn't make sense back then. Like your 16th birthday, how it turned into a party for my dance competition. You remember that? Of course I remember. I thought it was weird at the time, but I was just a kid. Now, thinking about it as an adult, that was seriously messed up. It was your 16th birthday, for God's sake. A wave of validation hit me so hard I almost cried. Bea, you don't have to explain anything, Carol. I know you had to fight way harder than I ever did to get where you are. And look at you now. You are literally one of the smartest people on the planet. Thank you for recognizing that. Ivy always admired you, you know, even when we were little. You were brave, determined, you never gave up on anything. I was always jealous of your strength. It was a conversation I never thought I'd have with Brooke. For years, I saw her as the privileged daughter who got everything handed to her. Discovering that she had developed this level of awareness and that she admired me was deeply moving. 3 weeks before my TED Talk recording, I got an unexpected call from my mother. Caroline, there is something we need to tell you. What is it? Mom, your father we thinking about coming to see your talkie person. My heart skipped a bit. They wanted to come to do to watch me speak at TED. After years of discouraging me, they now wanted to be there for my biggest moment. Really? Yes. We did some research on this TED thing. Caroline, it is really important. You will be sharing the stage with people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. Yeah. Mo, it is pretty important. We is so proud of you. He also, a little ashamed. Ashamed? There was a long pause. Caroline, your father and I have been talking a lot these past few weeks. Seeing you read the papers, reading about your achievements. We realized that maybe we didn't support you the way we should have when you were younger. It was the closest thing to an apology I had ever received from them. Mo, you don't have to say anything right now. We just wanted you to know. We see it now. We are immensely proud of the extraordinary woman you've become. Despite US, not because of US. I cried after hanging up. Not tears of sadness, but something far more complicated, a cathartic mix of relief, validation, and a profound satisfaction that my fight had finally been recognized by the people who mattered most. On the day of the TED Talk recording, my parents and Brooke were sitting in the audience. Seeing them there traveling thousands of miles to watch me felt surreal, especially because for so many years, they were the ones who questioned my decision to move to the United States. My talk lasted 18 minutes. I spoke about how technology could democratize access to healthcare, about how my algorithm could save lives in underserved communities, and about how science has the power to reduce inequality. But in the middle of the talk, I allowed myself a personal moment. I grew up in a family that didn't always understand my passion for science, I said, looking directly toward where my parents were sitting. For years, I felt like my dreams were too big, too different, too distant. Today, I realize it wasn't my dreams that were too big, it was the world around me that was too small for them. The audience applauded, but I was focused on my parents' faces. I saw my mom discreetly wipe away a tear. Sometimes, we need to step outside the structures that limit us to truly discover what we are capable of. And once we do, we have a responsibility to use that power to make the world better. I closed my talk by presenting how my algorithm had correctly diagnosed cancer cases that even experienced doctors had missed. The numbers were staggering: 94% accuracy, times cheaper than traditional exams, with the potential to save millions of lives. The audience hosted their feet applause. A standing ovation. Agitad. Backstage, my family was waiting for me. My mom hugged me like she had never hugged me before. Caroline. I have no words. You were brilliant. Thank you. Mo. No. Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on your dreams when we couldn't see them. Thank you for becoming this extraordinary woman. Thank you for giving us the chance to learn how to be better parents. My dad, who had always been more reserved when it came to affection, held my hands tightly. Daughter, I spent years thinking you were running away from the family. Today, I realize you were running toward your destiny. You are a destiny. Brooke was the last to hug me. I knew it, she whispered in my ear. I always knew you were special. That night, during our celebration dinner, something fundamental had shifted in our family dynamic. For the first time in my life, I was the center of attention. Not out of politeness or obligation, but because of my own merit. My parents proudly introduced themselves to other speakers as Doutor Caroline Silva S. parents. There was genuine pride in their voices but also a new kind of humility, as if they finally understood how badly they had underestimated who I had always been. The video of my TED Talk went online 2 weeks later and went viral almost instantly. In a month, it had over 5 million views. Universities began inviting me to speak. Companies offered multi-million-dollar partnerships. Governments wanted to implement my technology in their healthcare systems. But the moment that would truly seal my transformation from the neglected daughter to the family's pride was still ahead. And it would happen in the place where it had all begun, back home, in Brazil, in front of the extended family who had witnessed years of favoritism toward Brooke. My final, sweetest revenge was coming, and it would be even more satisfying than I could have ever imagined. 6 months after the TED Talk, I received a phone call that would change everything. It was from the Nobel Foundation. Doutor Silva, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected for this year's Nobel Prize in Medicine for your groundbreaking contribution to early cancer diagnosis through artificial intelligence. The phone slipped from my hands. Nobel, at 29 years old, I would become the youngest person in history to win the Nobel Prize in Medicine. The news spread around the world within hours. Every major newspaper in Brazil ran my photo on the front page. 29-year-old Brazilian wins Nobel Prize in Medicine. The BBC, CNN, Le Monde, every major international outlet covered the story of the young scientist who had revolutionized cancer diagnostics. But the call I had secretly been waiting for was from home. Caroline, my mom screamed on the phone, completely overwhelmed. Nobel, my daughter won the Nobel Prize. I haven't won yet, Mo. I've been nominated. The ceremony is in December, but you're going to win. It's in all the papers. Everyone is talking about it. I couldn't even work today. I've been answering phone calls from journalists all day long. It was surreal. The same woman who once cancelled my 8th birthday party because we needed to save money was now giving interviews to journalists around the world about how she had raised a genius daughter. Mo, what are you even telling the journalists? The truth, that we always knew you were special, that ever since you were little, you showed extraordinary intelligence, that we always encouraged your studies. I had to hold back a laugh. The family narrative was being completely rewritten in real time. Sweetheart, my mom continued, we need to talk about the ceremony in December. Your father I want to be there. E Brooke, your grandparents, the uncles, Mo, slow though. The ceremony is in Stockholm. It is not a family party, but it is the Nobel. Our family has never had a Nobel. Don't you understand the magnitude of this? It was ironic her explaining the magnitude of something I had achieved completely on my own, against all the expectations they had ever set for me. In the weeks that followed, I was bombarded with interview requests. Everyone wanted the personal story how a young Brazilian woman had reached the top of the global scientific community. During an interview with Fantástico, the inevitable question came, Caroline, tell us about your family. Were they always supportive of your scientific career? I looked directly at the camera, knowing my family would be watching. My family taught me valuable lessons. I began carefully. They taught me that we don't always get the recognition we deserve when we deserve it. That sometimes we have to fight for our dreams alone. That external validation should never be our only motivation. And most importantly, they taught me that when we achieve something extraordinary, we have a responsibility to use that success to help others. It was a diplomatic answer, but anyone who knew our family story could hear the unspoken words between the lines. The interview aired on a Sunday night. The next day, I got a call from Brooke. Caro, we watched your interview last night. It was beautiful. Thank you. But I heard what you were really saying. Yeah, I want you to know. I agree with everything. Bia, let me finish. My dad are absolutely losing their minds over your Nobel, acting like they had anything to do with it. But you and I both know the truth. You achieved all this despite them, not because of them. Hearing that from Brooke was liberating. I want to apologize, she continued. For what? For being, unknowingly, complicit in something so unfair. For accepting all the privileges without ever questioning why you didn't get the same. For not standing up for you when I should have. Bia, you were just a kid. I was a kid when it started. But I grew up in 4 years. I kept accepting it like it was normal. It wasn't until I started really reflecting on our childhood, especially after seeing everything you've accomplished, that I realized how unfair it was. Thank you for acknowledging it. It means a lot. Yeah, I want you to know, when you received that Nobel, you'll be the one screaming louder than anyone, because you deserve every second of it. In November, 1 month before the Nobel ceremony, something happened that would make my quiet revenge even sweeter and far more ironic. I got a call from Brooke, but this time, her voice sounded different. Anxious. Almost desperate. Caro, I need to tell you something. What is it? Do you remember my boyfriend, João Pedro? The one our parents love? Yeah, I remember. He broke up with me, in the worst way possible. In front of all his friends. He humiliated me. He said I was just a graphic designer with no futuro. I felt immediate rage. No matter how complex our relationship was, Brooke was my sister and no one had the right to humiliate her like that. What an idiot. I am so sorry, Bia. But it is not just that. He started spreading nice about me on social media, saying I was a gold digger, that I only dated him for his family's money. He made fake profiles. He is harassing me online. Caro, I am being cancelled. Cancelled? What do you mean? My clients are dropping me. People are leaving horrible comments on my work. My professional reputation. It is being destroyed. All because of his lies. Brooke started crying on the phone. I don't know what to do anymore. I tried defending myself, but he has more followers, more influence. No one believes my side. Bia, why are you telling me this? Because I need your help. The irony of the situation hit me like lightning. Brooke, who had spent her entire life as the favored daughter, who had always received everything without ever needing to fight for it, was now asking for help from the sister she had watched being neglected for years. What do you want? Me to do. You have millions of followers now. Caro, you're famous around the world. If you speak up about what is happening, people will believe it. You can clear my name. It was the moment I had unconsciously waited for my entire life. Brooke vulnerable, asking for my help. I had the power to save her, or to ignore her. It could have been my final revenge, letting her experience what it feels like to have no support when you need it most. Looking back at my entire journey, I realized that true victory wouldn't come from becoming like those who once neglected me. True victory would come from being the person I always wished someone had been for me. Of course, I'll help you. Bia, really? You're my sister. You've always been the one person in this family who genuinely celebrated my achievements. Of course, I'll help you. But same night, I posted a message on my social media, e being known my sister Beatriz for 29 years. She is talented, honest, and one of the most generous people I know. She is being unfairly attacked by a vindictive ex-boyfriend. As someone who knows the destructive power of injustice, I cannot stay silent. Justice for Beatriz. The post went viral. In 48 hours, the truth about João Pedro came to light. Other ex-girlfriends came forward with similar stories. He was exposed as a serial manipulator. Beatriz was fully vindicated, and not only did her career recover, it skyrocketed. New clients flocked to her after learning her story. "Carol, you saved my life," she told me in an emotional call. "It was the least I could do." "No, it wasn't. You could be chosen revenge. You could be let me deal with this alone, the same way you had to deal with everything growing up. But you chose to help me. That shows who you really are. E who is it? The best of us." December arrived with each the Nobel Prize ceremony in Stockholm. My entire family made the trip: parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins. People who had witnessed years of favoritism toward Brooke were now at to watch me receive the highest honor in science. The night before the ceremony, there was an official banquet with all the laureates and their families. I sat at the main table, wearing a navy blue gown, discussing research with fellow laureates. Across the ballroom, I spotted my family. My parents were clearly dazzled by the event, taking pictures of everything, introducing themselves to other guests as the parents of Dr. Carolina Silva, Nobel Prize winner in medicine. At one point, my Aunt Martha, the same aunt who had questioned why my 16th birthday was turned into Brooke SDC competition party, approached the main table. "Caroline, sweetheart, can I speak with you for a minute?" We stepped aside into a quieter corner. "There is something I've been meaning to tell you," she said, her eyes brimming with tears. "What is it, Aunt? Do you remember your 16th birthday?" "Of course. That day, I was so furious about what I witnessed that I had a huge fight with Yormo after you left. I told her they were being unfair, that you deserved to be celebrated. I never knew that." She got angry, told me didn't understand anything about parenting, that each child has different needs. But I knew it was wrong. "And now, seeing you about to receive the Nobel," she paused, taking a deep breath. "Now I am certain that the 16-year-old girl who cried alone in the bathroom, that they deserve every tear she shed, because those tears shaped the extraordinary woman standing at it today." "Aunt, no, let me finish. Your mother has been calling me every week for months, going on and on about how she always knew you were special, how she always supported your dreams. But you and I both know the truth, don't we?" I nodded silently. "You did this. You built everything against every expectation they ever set for you, and that makes your success even more incredible." I cried right there, in the middle of that golden ballroom in Stockholm. After all those years, someone in the family had finally, fully validated my journey. The day of the ceremony, I woke up at 6 a.m. Despite barely sleeping the night before. The nerves were unlike anything they ever felt. This wasn't just about receiving a prize, it was about what that moment represented. The girl who had been forgotten on her own birthday was about to be recognized by the entire world. At 2 p.m., at the Stockholm concert hall, the ceremony began. The King of Sweden was present, along with the global scientific elite and representatives from over 100 countries. Cameras broadcast it live to millions worldwide. When my name was called, I walked to the stage with trembling legs. The King handed me the gold medal and diploma. For a moment, holding both in my hands, I thought about every step of the journey that had brought me there. During my acceptance speech, I looked directly at my family, sitting in the front row. "This award is not mine alone," I began. "It belongs to everyone who believes that science can change the world. It belongs to those who fought against the limitations others tried to place on them. It belongs to everyone who turned the pain of rejection into fuel for extraordinary achievement. I saw my mother discreetly wipe away tears. I dedicate this award especially to the children who feel invisible in their own families, to those who believe their dreams are too big, too different. Your dreams are not too big, the world around you is too small. Never, ever shrink your dreams to fit into the limited expectations of others. The audience erupted in applause. This was my message not only to the world but specifically to my family. A public declaration that I had triumphed not just scientifically, but emotionally. After the ceremony, there was a royal banquet. My entire family was radiant, taking photos with me in my medal. It felt surreal to see people who had once questioned my dreams now proudly boasting about them to strangers. This is our daughter, Dr. Carolina Silva, Nobel Prize winner in medicine, my father repeated to anyone who would listen. During the banquet, the moment that would definitively seal my transformation from neglected daughter to irrefutable family pride happened. The host of the ceremony approached our table. Dr. Silva, His Majesty the King would like to meet your family personally. Would you be so kind as to introduce them? We walked toward the royal table. My parents were visibly nervous and emotional. Your Majesty, the host said, allow me to present the parents of Dr. Carolina Silva Helena and Roberto Silva, from Boiseon. The king warmly greeted my parents. You must be very proud, the king said in English, which my father quickly translated for my mother. Immensely proud, Your Majesty, my father replied. Carolina has always been a special child, always demonstrated extraordinary intelligence. I almost smiled. The family narrative had been completely rewritten. According to this new version, I had always been the special daughter, always encouraged, always fully supported. You, madam, the king asked my mother. Your daughter is an inspiration to young people around the world, my mother replied, after my father translated. We are so grateful to be able to witness this historic moment. It was performative but also genuine. They were genuinely proud. They had genuinely traveled thousands of miles to be it for me. The fact that this pride had arrived didn't make it any less real now. Brooke, standing beside me through the entire interaction, leaned over and whispered in my ear, you did it, Carol. You really did it. That night, back at the hotel, our entire family gathered in the presidential suite the Nobel Committee had reserved for me. It was the first time in years that we were all together in the same space, but the dynamic had changed completely. I was no longer the daughter fighting for attention. I was the gravitational center around which everyone now orbited. Every word I said was received with reverent attention. Every story I told about my life was met with genuine fascination. Caroline, my grandfather said, can you tell us how you developed this technology? I spent an hour explaining my research in an accessible way. Everyone listened in respectful silence, asking thoughtful questions, showing real interest. It was ironic. For years, whenever I tried to share my smaller academic successes, I was met with polite nods and quick shifts back to work as accomplishments. Now, with a success so massive it was impossible to minimize, I finally had my family as full attention. Sweetheart, my mother said as the conversation began to wind down, your father we'd like to speak with you privately. We stepped out onto the balcony. Stockholm was stunning at night, golden lights reflecting off the water. Caroline, my father began, we know. We were the parents you deserved when you were younger. It was the most direct admission I had ever received. Dad, no, let me finish. We spent years thinking you were too self-sufficient, that you didn't need our support the way Brooke did. But now we realize every child needs support no matter how capable they appear to be. My mother continued, we failed you, Caroline. We failed you when we cancelled your 8th birthday. We failed you when we turned your 16th birthday into Brooke Daisy competition party. We failed you when we didn't celebrate your medals and your academic achievements. We failed you when we questioned your decision to study abroad. instead of supporting you unconditionally. Hearing each failure named, one by one, was cathartic e away e didn't expect. And we failed you, my father added, when we didn't realize that we were raising the most extraordinary person we've ever known. You didn't raise me, I replied with a calm but surprising firmness in my voice. I raised myself, on my own, despite you, not because of you. They fell silent, absorbing the harshness but also the undeniable truth of my words. You hear right, my mother finally said. You raised yourself. You did a much better job than we ever could have. But we want you to know, my father continued, that we recognize our mistakes. From now on, we want to be the parents you always deserved. Even though I am already an independent adult. Even though you are an extraordinary adult who has already conquered the world, my mother replied. It is never too late to start doing things right. It was a conversation I had dreamed of having for years. It didn't erase the past, but it created the possibility of a different future. I accept, I said at last, but on one condition. What is it? Never again compare me and Beatriz. Never again treat one daughter as the favorite and the other as the afterthought. We both deserve unconditional love and support each in our own way. We promise, they said in unison. That night, alone in the presidential suite after everyone had gone to sleep, I held mine a bill medal and reflected on the entire journey. I had left Brazil as an 18-year-old girl wounded but determined to prove her worth. I was returning as a 29-year-old woman who had not only proven her worth but transformed her pain into purpose, her rejection into fuel for changes that would save millions of lives. The revenge I had unconsciously planned for years had materialized but in a far more elegant and powerful way than I had ever imagined. It wasn't a destructive or cruel revenge. It was revenge through absolute excellence through achievements so extraordinary they completely rewrote the family narrative. My return to Brazil was triumphant. I was greeted at the airport by crowds, by the Minister of Science, by university presidents. I was given the keys to the city of São Paulo, honorary citizenships from several states, and invitations to speak at every major university in the country. But the most meaningful moment happened a week after my return. My family organized a party not for Beatriz, nor shared with anyone a party specifically for me, to celebrate my Nobel. It was held in the same event hall where Beatriz used to have her elaborate birthday parties. The same people were their aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. But this time, I was the guest of honor. Today we are ready to celebrate our Carolina, my mother said during an emotional toast. The girl we always knew was special. Beatriz looked at me and pulled a playful face at the obvious historical revisionism. I smiled back. Who has exceeded even our highest expectations? Carolina, you haven't just brought pride to our family, you are changing the world. Everyone applauded. It was the party I had dreamed of having as a child, arriving 2 decades later, but arriving. During the party, Aunt Martha approached me. You know what is the most beautiful part of all this? She asked. What? You could have used your platform to humiliate your parents publicly. You could have told the journalists how neglected you were. You could have taken cruel revenge. Why didn't you? Because you are bigger than the pain you felt. You turned your wounds into wisdom, your rejection into determination, your suffering into purpose. That is the mark of someone truly extraordinary. At the end of the party, when everyone had left, I stayed behind with Beatriz in the empty hall. Carol, she said, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you forgive me? For what? For being the favored child without ever questioning it. For accepting all the privileges while you fought for scraps of attention. For not standing up for you when I should have. I looked at my younger sister, now a 26-year-old woman, talented and self-aware, who had grown enough to recognize the injustices of our past. Bea, you were a child. There was no way for you to question a dynamic that our parents created. But when I grew up, I could have said something. You did. Today, right now, ETS never told Lati to recognize mistakes e try to do better. You is so generous. Me not generous. Me strategic. Anger e resentment only hurt me. Forgiving e moving forward frees me to focus on what really matters, which is using my platform to help other children who feel invisible in their own families, to show them that it is possible to turn rejection into fuel for extraordinary achievements. In the months that followed, I established a foundation for young scientists from low-income families and for children facing family neglect. It was my way of turning my own painful experience into a legacy of hope for others. The foundation received donations from scientists all over the world, including several other Nobel laureates. Within 2 years, we had already awarded scholarships to more than 1,000 young Brazilians. During one of our scholarship award ceremonies, a 15-year-old girl approached me. Doutor Carolina, may I speak with you? Of course, sweetheart. My parents think science isn't for girls. They say I should focus on more feminine things. Sometimes, I think about giving up. I held her hands and looked straight into her eyes. Listen closely to what I'm about to tell you. Your parents are wrong. Science is for anyone with curiosity, determination, and the courage to ask difficult questions. Gender has nothing to do with it. But it is so hard. Fighting alone. I know it is. I fought alone too. But you know what I discovered? When we prove our worth through extraordinary achievements, even the people who doubted us are forced to recognize our greatness. Do you think I can do it? Me. Certain. And do you know why? Because you already have the most important trait for scientific success. You don't take no for an answer. You came here today looking for encouragement instead of giving up. That shows you have exactly the determination it takes. 2 years later, I received an email from that same girl. She had won a national chemistry competition and received scholarship offers from several international universities. That was it. My revenge had turned into legacy. The pain I once felt had become fuel not only for my own achievements but for helping hundreds of other children transform their wounds into strength. Today, at 32 years old, I am the director of the Medical Artificial Intelligence Institute I founded. I have more than 50 scientific publications and my technology has already saved over 1 million lives worldwide. But more importantly, I have a family that finally values me for who I've always been. A sister who has become my best friend. It is certainty that I've transformed my greatest wound into my greatest strength. The little girl who once cried alone in the bathroom during her own birthday party became the woman the entire world knows and respects. And you know what the sweetest part of this whole journey is? It wasn't just that I proved my worth to my family. It was that I proved to myself that I had always been worthy regardless of anyone else's recognition. That is the true victory. Realizing that we never needed anyone else's validation to be extraordinary. We've always been extraordinary. We just need the courage to believe it and the persistence to make our extraordinariness impossible to ignore. And when that happens, when our success becomes so undeniable it cannot be minimized or forgotten, revenge becomes unnecessary, because we've achieved something far greater, the unconditional and irreversible respect of everyone who once doubted us. 5 years after the Nobel, on a quiet Saturday morning in São Paulo, I received an unexpected call from Beatriz. Carol, can you call me over? I have a surprise for you. When I arrived, I found the whole family gathered in the living room, including cousins I hadn't seen in years. What is going on? I asked, curious. Beatriz handed me a wrapped box. Open it. Inside was a photo album she had made. On the first page, there was a picture of me at 8 years old on the day of my cancelled birthday party with eyes hid from crying. Below the photo, she had written, "Tear the brave little girl who turned tears into laboratories, rejection into revolution, pain into discoveries that save lives." The next pages told my entire journey through photos, studying alone in my bedroom, receiving academic medals, graduating from high school, boarding the planetaire myth, my graduation from Stanford, the TED Talk, dinner bill ceremony. On the last page, there was a recent photo of me giving a lecture to children from my foundation, with a final dedication. The Carolina who once cried alone became Dr. Carolina who inspires millions. Thank you for teaching us the greatness isn't about where we start, but about where we choose to go. I cried. After everything, after all the struggles, after all the victories, this simple gesture of acknowledgement from my own sister was the most precious gift I could have ever received. Why did you do this? I asked, my voice trembling. Because, my mother answered, we wanted you to know that the story of our family has changed forever. We are no longer the family that had one favorite daughter and one neglected daughter. We are now the family that learned to celebrate the extraordinariness of both daughters each in her own way. My father added, and because we wanted to document that the transformation wasn't just yours, Carolina. It was ours too. You taught us how to become a better family. In that moment, looking at the very people who once made me feel invisible, now seeing me as a source of pride, inspiration, I understood that my revenge was completely a way that transcended any fantasy of payback I might have had as a child. I hadn't just forced my family to recognize me. I had inspired all of us to become better versions of ourselves. The little girl who once asked for a birthday party and was met with indifference had become the woman the entire world now celebrates. In the process, she had transformed not only her own life but the lives of millions of people around the world. This is the sweetest revenge of all, when our success doesn't just elevate us, it lifts everyone around us. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't destroying those who hurt us, it is becoming so extraordinary that they have no choice but to acknowledge our greatness. In doing so, we don't just transform our own lives, we inspire everyone around us to be better too. Did you enjoy this story? Leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories of overcoming adversity and turning pain into powerful success. What was the moment that touched you the most? Tell us in the comments below.